Hi, I'm Chuck Colson with this week's 2-minute warning. For the past several months, the eyes of the nation have been fixed on Capitol Hill, where Congress now is preparing to ram the health care bill down the throats of an unwilling and increasingly unhappy people. Right now, it's anybody's guess whether the current health care bill will pass. As a Christian, I hope and pray that it does not. Let me explain why. I could list a lot of specific items like abortion funding and the failure to protect the consciences of medical professionals, but I want to spend a couple of minutes talking with you about a more fundamental issue. That issue is ideology. I've made the case before that Christians are by nature and definition conservative. Now, that doesn't mean we vote Republican or buy into a particular ideology. As a matter of fact, just the opposite. It means that first and foremost, we live by revealed truth, not man-made ideologies. We believe as well in protecting the enduring moral order. And that, by the way, is the first of 10 principles of conservatism explained by the renowned conservative thinker Russel Kirk. Let me highlight just a few of the 10 principles named by Kirk that are, by the way, absolutely consistent with the gospel. For example, Kirk wrote that conservatives should be guided by prudence. Any public measure, he wrote, ought to be judged by its probable long-term consequences, not merely by temporary advantage or popularity. Conservatives also uphold voluntary communities and associations while resisting involuntary collectivism. This is very similar to the Protestant notion of sphere sovereignty or the Catholic idea of subsidiarity. Every institution in society, family, church, charities, government, has a proper role to play. But the interest of individuals and communities are best served by the institutions closest to them as opposed to an overreaching central government. Another key principle conservatives and Christians agree on is that there's a need for prudent restraint upon power. Kirk wrote, "A state in which an individual or a small group are able to dominate the wills of their fellows without check is despotism, whether it's called a monarchy or an aristocracy or a democracy." So back to healthcare. What do we see happening on Capitol Hill? An absolute failure to recognize the moral order, funding for the taking of innocent life, basing medical decisions on utilitarianism, that is, doing the greatest good for the greatest number rather than on protecting the needs of the individual. We see massive imprudence. The costs of this bill are staggering and will sap the vitality and pocketbooks of generations to come. We see a federal government overstepping its bounds, taking over 1/6 of the nation's economy. And we see a political elite attempting to force its will on a basically conservative populace that simply doesn't want this bill. In essence, what we see here is the face of a true liberal ideology, an ideology based on unchecked government power over individual freedom. And that's why I hope Congress will reject the current health care bill. I'm Chuck Colson. That's this week's 2-minute warning.